I'd like to call this January 23rd meeting of the Rockingham County School Board to order. First on our agenda is to approve the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move that we approve tonight's agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Breeden. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. McQuilkin. Is there any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, we will vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. The agenda is approved. And I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. Thank you for coming. We're kind of between storms, so that's nice. Nice evening to venture out for January. I also would like to point out that we're missing 2 board members tonight. They had personal commitments that they couldn't get out of, so it'll just be the 3 of us and Dr. Scheichel up here tonight, so bear with us. Next on the agenda, we have the Pledge of Allegiance. If you're able, please stand and join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Be seated and thank you. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. We will now move into our school recognition and presentations, and we're going to start with Mrs. Emily Holloway. Or maybe we're going to start with Dr. Shiflett.
Curveball. So, good evening, Chair Lord, members of the board, Dr. Scheichel, and guests. Rockingham County Public Schools has been honoring students who display the 6 pillars of character counts for over 20 years. This recognition has evolved over time. At tonight's meeting, I hope to highlight the history of character counts within RCPS as we remember the individuals for whom these awards are so deservingly named. In 1998, RCPS partnered with the Rockingham Cooperative Extension Office to begin the Character Counts program. Kelly Cogsdale, who worked as a Rockingham County 4-H extension agent, played a significant role in the implementing of character counts education in RCPS. A couple years after we had established the program in 2000, a student at McGuckeysville Elementary School, Brittany Lamb, passed away from cancer. Brittany was a student who displayed the 6 pillars of character even during the battle with cancer. After her passing, Brittany's family worked with the school board to establish the Brittany Lamb Character Counts Award as a way to honor Brittany and keep their daughter's memory alive. In 2002, Kelly Cogsdale also lost her battle with cancer. Shortly after this, the school board added Kelly Cogsdale to the Brittany Lamb Character Counts Award. Each month, the school board recognizes 2 students who demonstrates the 6 pillars of character with the Brittany Lamb Kelly Cogsdale Character Counts Award. This evening, school board member Dan Breeden will share some memories about Brittany, and at our next school board meeting, Jackie Lohr will share some memories about Kelly. Mr. Breeden.
Thank you, Dr. Shiflett. I knew Brittany quite well, as she was a cousin of mine who was just full of life and so energetic and such an attractive little girl with such a bright future. And she was diagnosed at about the age of 7, I think it was, with a rare form of cancer that impacted her liver primarily. And after much prayer and as many medical avenues as could be pursued, she lost her battle. but she remains a beacon of light to all of us who knew her. It's hard for me to imagine that she would have been 30 years old now. She passed at age 10. And she was one of the great highlights of her life was she just loved the country band that was so popular then, Alabama. And Randy Owen, who was and is the lead singer for Alabama, came to visit her. And she just that was such a thrill for her. So her mother, Peggy, couldn't be here tonight, but wanted me to express her gratitude for taking the opportunity to just remember Britt. And I think one of the plans is to perhaps have a photograph of both Kelly and Brittany to display, and I look forward to that. We've got some good options as far as Britt goes. But if you've got a small child or a grown child, and we think about Brittany, go home and hug them tonight, because it is still difficult to conceive that such a bright, vibrant, beautiful little girl was lost. And so hug your loved ones tonight in her honor, as well as the awards we're going to give tonight. Thank you, Dr. Shivlett.
Thank you for that introduction. I will begin with our first student. If I could call Miss Ariana Stroop down front, please. Ariana Stroop is recognized by her teachers as a recipient of the Brittany Lamb Kelly Cogsdale Award for 2023 for Elkton Middle School. She is an all-around stellar person. She goes above and beyond when it comes to classroom expectations, assignments, and character. She strives for excellence not only for herself, but for others. She is often the first to volunteer to help and works incredibly hard on her individual and group assignments. She always gives her best effort, whether in the classroom, on the basketball court, or on the stage. Words used to describe her include consistently positive, great work ethic, dedicated, focused, supportive, quiet leader, gracious, polite, and persistent. She is always helpful toward her peers and always on task. She continues to strive for personal growth and improvement, taking feedback in stride and applying it with care and attention to detail. She is mature beyond her years and an absolute joy to work with. There are few kids her age who can match her grit. She is a model student and citizen for our school community. Ms. Ariana Stroop.
Congratulations, Ariana. Do you have some guests with you tonight that you could introduce for us? Mom and Grandma, stand up. Let's give them a round of applause. We recognize that good character starts at home, so we like to recognize you all. Ariana, my dad used to say to me many years ago that as a young person, your reputation follows you, and as an older person, it goes ahead of you. And so as you develop the good reputation that you're developing now, it will serve you well in the future in all of your endeavors. And it is truly my privilege to present tonight on behalf of the board a certificate of commendation on behalf of Brittany Lamb and Kelly Cogsdale as well for the Character Count Student of the Month, along with a pin for the Character Counts program And last but not least, a gift certificate to Klein's Dairy Bar. Share that with Mom and Grandmom too, maybe. But congratulations. Thank you so much.
Next, I ask Mr. Bryson Shiflett to come forward. Bryson is recognized by his teachers at Elkton Middle as a recipient of the Brittany Lamb Kelly Cogsdale Award for 2023. He is a standout student at Elkton Middle School. He is extremely courteous towards others 100% of the time. Bryson is a student who shows empathy, compassion, and embodies good manners. Bryson always loves to help others become self-reliant. He shows the great ability to control his emotions through difficult time and perseveres despite any tough spots he may encounter. When Bryson's teachers were asked to describe him, they immediately shared the following words: caring, trustworthy, independent, fun to be around, and dependable. Bryson works hard in his classes and tries to always do better than before. Outside of the classroom, Bryson is an FFA officer and is a strong leader for the Elkton Middle School community. He is willing to assist in school-wide activities as an officer and within our school community. Bryson is a humble student who never seeks praise or acknowledgement, as you can tell by the way he's standing here tonight, embarrassed, but works hard because it is the right thing to do. Bryson's character is exceptional, and Elkton Middle is so happy to have him as part of our school community. Would also like to ask Mr. Roadcap to come down in the presentation of this award. For those of you that don't know, Mr. Roadcap and I shared a bus route last year when we had an opening, and Bryson was our right-hand man on that bus to help us with that route, and a very special student who displayed that character every day. So we felt like that was the best thing to do. And he can share his Klein's gift card with his favorite bus drivers because they like ice cream.
Not really. You have some guests with you tonight that we can meet? Parents and grandparents. Thank you. Thank you all, and congratulations, Bryson. You know, one of my favorite quotes is from an individual who said, "Some see things as they are and ask why. I see things that are not and ask why not." And it sounds like you're the kind of individual that is looking at things that perhaps are not as they should be and ask why not and try to make it better. And for that, the world is a better place because you're in it. I'd like to present to you on behalf of the school board a certificate that I hope you can display proudly, recognizing you as a student of the month for the Character Counts program, as well as a pin and the aforementioned Klein's Dairy Bar certificate that you don't have to share with these two if you don't want to.
And on behalf of the school, I would like to thank both sets of parents for all you do in sending us your great children to work with. Because of you, we get to enjoy them every day, so thank you. Lastly,
I'm sorry. I heard somebody else doing it. Let's go ahead and give those parents another round.
Lastly, at this time, I would like to recognize our Volunteer of the Year. Elkton Middle School is recognizing Mr. W.R. Good as our 2023 Volunteer of the Year. Mr. Good has worked closely as a volunteer mentoring a student here for 2 years. I'm sorry, Mr. Good, if you would like to come forward now. Forgot to do that at the beginning. This is like reunion night. Mr. Good years ago, his students went through Elkton Middle when I was the assistant principal here. So here we are again. Over the past 2 years, with permission from the family, Mr. Good has met with teachers, tutored, visited for lunch, and hosted outside of school activities with a student here. Mr. Good's involvement at EMS as a volunteer has inspired many teachers here to want to grow that idea and seek mentors from the high school and the PTA for our students. We are fortunate to have Mr. Good as a school volunteer who is a positive role model and always willing to help when called. Thank you, Mr. Good, for what you have done over the past 2 years here at EMS and what you have motivated and encouraged us to do to grow this type of program. As much as I have great things to say about Mr. Good, I would like to invite the Props family down who would like to share the great volunteer and the great mentor he's been to their family. This is Ian Props and Mrs. Terry Props.
I really don't know where to begin. Mr. Good started mentoring him, I guess, maybe first grade at the old Elton Elementary. Just always going to school, you know, like one of the teachers going to school, helping the class, the whole class, you know, as well as him. Then when he moved to Grottoes, he's traveled to Grottoes, from here to Grottoes, through South River, all the rest through South River, you know, out of his way to do this with Ian, coming to school all the time and helping him. And now here, he comes and tutors him after school. He comes for lunch with him. And his wife as well, you know, just what Ian needs, you know, they make sure he has. Just being a real mentor, you know, to him, and then taking him, doing things outside of school with him to show him that there's rewards if you try hard and work good at school, you know. And we really appreciate all he's done. Him and his wife have been closer than family, and we appreciate that. You know, all the working with the teachers to help him, and I know Ian appreciates it. So we want to thank him tonight for all he's done. Thank you. Say thank you.
Thank you.
I will say Ian was much shorter when I started working with him.
Can't add anything to that, brother. Is it okay if I WR? Yep. Not only is this gentleman a gentleman of fine character, but he's an old car guy too, so that's a real plus. I've known WR for many years. We've worked together and we've been on opposing sides of things before. But throughout the time that I've known him, I've never known him to be anything but a gentleman, and to be respectful, and to be polite, and a good friend to a friend of mine. And so it is with real pleasure that I can present to you this certificate of commendation, WR, for all of the fine work that you do, not just here, but in the entire community, and for the things that you've done. I have the certificate for you. Carolyn, I have the Klein's Dairy Bar for you. So, thank you so much.
Okay, we will now move into our school presentation. School board members, Dr. Scheichel, I would first want to say welcome to Elkton Middle School. What I would say is the best middle school in Rockingham County, because I am here to represent Elkton Middle. All of the middle schools are great, but tonight I would like to first of all say thank you for allowing us to try something new in middle school this year, and I'd like to share a little bit about that. The title of our presentation is There is No I in Team. Together we are achieving more with teaming at Elkton Middle. So just to give a little background, we have decided at middle school that we would begin teaming, allowing a core group of teachers of the content, the academic core classes, to work together with the same assigned students. So we no longer cross over with English, math, science, and social studies. They are assigned a team and work together. So this all started over the summer where our teachers were given the autonomy and time to develop a team name and a team mascot to work towards developing what we later would include into our PBIS plan for the school year. We have 3 teams in 6th grade, 3 teams in 7th grade, and 2 teams in 8th grade. You will see that we have 4-person teams, and we have 2-person teams where the 2-person teams we have dual certified teachers who teach both English and social studies or math and science. So you ask, what are we getting out of teaming, and what has this done for our students? This has given us the opportunity to truly respond to the needs of our students. Because we work with them closely as a team of about 90 students to 100 on a team, we're able to form those close relationships, know them, identify what works best for those students, and then implement that. That includes the data from their test scores, their daily activities, just the behaviors that we see when they come in, and to plan lessons that are developmentally and emotionally, socially appropriate for where they are. In addition, just some of the things that come out of that is the availability for us to have parent conferences together with the team, student meetings, and planning time. We are integrating curriculum and skills. This is something that we are able to do because we work closely together as the 4 teachers or 2, that we can use that time for cross-curricular knowledge and integrate that curriculum across other content areas. We are really trying to move beyond the 4 walls of a specific class and show how classes do or are intertwined so that they see the relevancy and how to apply that in their daily life. We are sharing appropriate teaching and learning strategies. We have wonderful teachers at Elkton Middle who are experts in their content area, but they, just like our students, enjoy learning and growing every day. And teaming allows us to have that time for these activities, working together, planning together, and learning from each other. So the teaming approach, I'm finding that teachers share more and more about the ability and the time to recognize and value what they bring to the table as a group, and then growing and building on that. And last but not least, we are maximizing our available time creatively. We allow our teachers the flexibility among the teams to change their schedules, change their groupings, and do what they need to do to, number one, have our kids meet other students and develop new friendships and relationships, but also to kind of form those groups and introduce them to new activities based on their academic abilities in the classroom. So we have seen great things as an administration team that we are getting from our teaming. I collected a couple of quotes that I wanted to share with you tonight that really capture what teaming has done. I did not want to ask our teachers and students and other guests to be here, but I did want you to hear that we were most recently redesignated as a school to watch, showing excellence at the middle school level. And in that it stated that they could tell from the teaming that we have created an environment where relationships and strong knowledge about the school community is evident, and that the students are benefiting from that. Ultimately, our goal is to do what's best for our students, and we do feel that teaming and the time that it allows for that relationship piece is beneficial. I have a parent quote here. I really like that the students are on teams. I like knowing that all of the content teachers are in communication with each other. They can discuss a student's success and struggles. Teachers are able to brainstorm ideas and the best way to reach the student. I felt it is beneficial that my children are enjoying those cross-curricular activities. They can learn one topic and reach past just an English assignment. Also, it's very beneficial when it comes to conferences. You do not have to schedule a time to meet with every teacher individually. You can discuss your student collectively and leave with a game plan for everyone. 2 teachers both share their love and joy for teaming. I thought it was specifically important to share. I had a teacher that was very reluctant to begin teaming, and gave me a little pushback on the thought of teaming. And after a year and a half, is one of my biggest advocates for that, loving the ability and what they can do to change the schedule to meet the needs of the students for activities, work together, scheduling time in the building and other locations to put the students together. It's been a great benefit. Lastly, I would like for you to hear it and see it from our students and teachers.
As a sixth grade team, we have been able to do many cross-curricular activities that include all 4 subjects. We have done things like the colonial fashion show, we have done explorer videos, and that way we can get all subjects involved and all kids working together. The students love the cross-curricular activities because they can work with people they normally don't work with. They're able to engage with all 4 teachers at the same time and see us working as a team as well. My favorite part about working together for interdisciplinary activities is getting ideas from other teachers and really seeing what the students are learning in other subject areas. So as I teach English, I can see what they're learning in history and how they tie the 2 things together when we work together on cross-curricular activities. Overall, teaming has been a wonderful experience, and I do feel that students respond to it very well.
So, when thinking about my experiences with cross-curricular activities, first 2 things that come to mind are 2 real-life situations that we've implemented in our classrooms, drawing all 4 main disciplines. The first one that we tried to tackle was working with nature journals. So we incorporated abiotic and biotic features tackling science, worked on graphing these different factors found in nature, which takes math. We focused on nature poetry as we walked on the trails behind the school, and we built on the community impacts that Elkton faced during the Great Depression while talking about the Civilian Conservation Corps in Shenandoah National Park. All of this was done outside of Elkton Middle School within maybe a quarter-mile radius. We walked on the trails, visited monuments, and took time to build on all 4 disciplines in school.
Working together with other classes is really fun because you get to learn with your other friends and learn about different things that you're doing. In my class, we learned about the history of yeast, and then we got to bake bread because we got to learn about what we were actually getting to do.
Cross-curricular activities are extremely helpful in helping students to apply content for obvious reasons. You're bringing in several of the different content areas and allowing students to work with them in a real-world situation. And also, as a teacher, it's extremely helpful to be able to bounce ideas off of other teachers and watch this idea grow out into something that is helpful for students. And all of that boils down to it creates consistent expectations and cohesion in a team of teachers and of students. Not only are we holding our students to a consistent standard when we do this, but also we're holding each other to a consistent standard of excellence. My very favorite thing about working at Elkton Middle School is the space to work as a team and the space to share those ideas.
Not only the words that are shared, but the pictures show the smiling faces. And middle school's a tough time, and parents in the room know that. But honestly, learning can be fun, and we can do that in a new way. So again, I would like to say thank you to Dr. Scheichel, Dr. Aldifer, and Dr. Shiflett for embracing and giving us the ability to try something new and see where it takes us. Our kids really are benefiting. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Yes, I agree. Middle school, I think we can all agree middle school can be really difficult, and it's so wonderful to see the smiling faces. I definitely picked up on several of those and the look of awe on some of the faces. It was great. Thank you so much for that presentation. We're now going to move on to we're bringing it back, the Inspire Awards. And I believe we're going to have Katie Lapira explain what the Inspire Awards are, and then we're going to move into the Inspire Awards.
Yes.
Thank
Well,
you.
members of the board, Dr. Scheichel, good evening. Thank you for bringing back the Inspire Awards. We're really excited. This is a fun night of all of the celebrations of all the good work that's happening in our schools. The Inspire Awards' purpose is to recognize the difference that our teachers and staff members make in the lives of others in our classrooms and in our buildings. Those being recognized are through nominations by parents, students, and community members or classroom volunteers. The Inspire Awards allows the school board and community to regularly and publicly celebrate the impact that our teachers and staff make each day. We will continue to promote this opportunity through our school communities. The RCPS Inspire Awards is made possible with financial support from the Rockingham Educational Foundation and the DuPont Community Credit Union. I'd like to invite Chase and Avery Taylor to present the first award to Mr. Pat Fales from Elkton Elementary School.
Mr. Fales is our favorite teacher. We love how his lessons and games are always fun, and he's always happy to see us. He is smart, kind, funny, and a great role model. We love going to work with our mom on teacher work days just to see him and play in the gym. We know he cares about us because he has always shown an interest in how we are doing and feeling. He always makes us laugh, and we always look forward to seeing him. When we grow up, we hope we can inspire kids just the way he has done for many years at ES. I am thinking about becoming a PE teacher because I want to touch the lives of kids in a positive way, just like he has. We want to thank him for teaching, loving, and inspiring us every day. We love you. Thank Mr. Fales.
Fantastic. Isn't that great? Aren't we glad to have Inspire Awards back? And for anybody who's new in the room, the reason we had Inspire Awards and then they went away during COVID. So yay, we can finally bring them back. And oh my goodness, I'm sorry, I forget your name, but you just about made me cry. You were so good. And it's so wonderful to see students be able to stand up with that kind of poise. So let's give those students a hand. Who's next? Sorry, I don't have it on my computer, so I'm going to use Dr. Scheichel's. Next we have Priyanka Masters presenting to Jenny Turner from Peakview Elementary School, a third grade teacher.
Thanks for letting me come and speak. Oh, hey, Jenny. We did. Okay, so this is really like me and my daughter, who's also a Jenny. She didn't help me write this, but I feel like this is coming through me, from her. So this Jenny is an amazing teacher who deserves more praise than I will be able to give her in this short write-up. She has been my daughter's teacher for almost 4 months, and my daughter cannot wait to go to school every day. 95% of the reason is because she has Jenny as her teacher. My daughter has always loved school, but now she's hungry for it. Jenny is able to connect with my daughter in a way that makes her feel important and special, but also interested to learn more every day. She comes home with stories about what she has learned and tells me how wonderful her teacher is and that she is so happy. Mrs. Turner's teaching style is one to be idolized, and everyone at Peakview, you have a true gem. I wish that Jenny could be my daughter's teacher every year, and I couldn't be more grateful to her.
Thank you very much. We now have Julia Hensley presenting to Hope Simmons from McGackiesville Elementary School. It says MES, sorry. Second grade teacher.
Thank you for having us and for doing this and giving us the opportunity to honor Miss Simmons and Mrs. Warner. She got married this year, so there's been a little bit of debate within the class, Mrs. Warner or Miss Simmons. We're going with Miss Simmons tonight. Miss Simmons has a calm, nurturing demeanor that our daughter Tally has picked up on and carries throughout her day, after school, and into the weekends. Ms. Simmons goes above and beyond to not only help her students learn, but feel good about themselves too. Tally has been insecure about spelling and handwriting in the past, but Ms. Simmons has made her feel more confident in the learning process by being so positive and encouraging. She makes learning fun by playing games that reinforce lessons, praising strengths, and working one-on-one on subjects her students have difficulty with, even with over 20 students. She has made my daughter feel more confident in herself, and I can't emphasize enough how much of a positive impact she's had on her and her love of learning. Tally is excited to go to school every day, and I owe that to Miss Simmons. I was lucky to be a mystery reader for the class. I was in awe of Miss Simmons' ability to calmly bring students' focus back when there were distractions by having the class repeat her words and movements. As a former daycare provider, this is not an easy task with second graders. Her students clearly look up to her. We wish Miss Simmons could be Tally's teacher indefinitely, and she is more than deserving of recognition. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and congratulations, Ms. Warner, now. I think that concludes our Inspire Awards, but isn't it great to have them back? And just shows, I noticed that 2 presenters said, I wish that that teacher could be the teacher forever. We have a lot of amazing teachers in Rockingham County, and you're going to hear all about them in the months to come, so I'm very excited. And I'm very appreciative to all of our teachers, and thank you so much to our honorees tonight. We're now going to move into comments from the public. We're doing it a little bit different. We don't have a timer up. Well, I guess we have a timer up. I won't be able to see it. But at the 30 seconds to go, there will be a tone that will play over the intercom, and you'll be able to hear it. So I won't be gaveling, so I can pay attention to what you are saying. Do keep in mind that there's rules, and those are available on the internet and for your review. I think I'm kind of stalling a little bit to let. Okay. I think now the aisles are clear. Michael Stemple is our only speaker signed up for tonight, so we'll have him come down and give 3 minutes of public comment.
Thank you, Dr. Scheichel Board. Last school board meeting, the importance of truth-telling about our history was mentioned. I also think it's extremely important to tell the truth about our history in Virginia, nation, etc. Today, I'd like to give a little bit of a short history lesson of how history was taught in Virginia using some textbooks that were used in schools. So, Carrie Hunter Willis and Lucy S. Saunders were members of the Daughters of the Confederacy. They also were involved in making textbooks. This was first published, The Story of Virginia, probably for like a 4th grade, grade school age group, was first like published in the 1920s. This was like, I don't know which printing, but it's like from the 1950. I'm just going to highlight one of the passages when they're talking about this is just a passage where they talk about what happened in Old Virginia or something. It says, "The little white boys played with their little brown body servants. They rolled over one another like little puppies." Again, these were in our schools. All right. After that, John Wayland, the school that, we have a school named after John Wayland. He wrote 60 Errors, a book, a little pamphlet where he corrected the errors supposedly of this book. And he also wrote his own history book. So let's go here. I always like to look how they talk about the Civil War. Let's see, the war between the states, and it says, in 1860, the election of Abraham Lincoln as president was looked upon as dangerous to states' rights. So there we have states' rights. I'm going to skip ahead here to a book from 2011. Let's see what it talks about. So it talks about secession and how, and then in the end of the book, that has a little quiz and says, what event marked the start of the Civil War? The secession of the southern states, the election of Abraham Lincoln, attack on Fort Sumter, or fighting in Bleeding, Kansas. And then I have Our History, Our America. This was made in, I believe, 2010 by Five Ponds Press. I don't know if you all remember, there was a controversy because they claimed that there were black Confederates that served in the Confederate Army, and they had to retract that. But anyway, war begins, and it talks about, again, states' rights, nations' rights, who is right. Again, this is 2010 that we're talking about this. We're not talking about the real reason why the Civil War is fought. And again, it doesn't, and this is so I just think I highlight these books, and I show these books to say it's really important. That's why I'm paying close attention to Governor Youngkin's history and social studies standards, because it's really important they tell the truth of our history, the whole history, just like Mr. Cross said, the full history.
Thank you. That concludes our public comments for this evening. We'll now move on to highlights by board members, and I'm going to start to my left. Mr. Breeden.
Thank you, Chair Lohr. If you will indulge me a little bit, this may be my last time home. I have had the distinct honor and privilege, and it has been an honor and a privilege to represent this community for 23 of the last 26 years. And as I begin and I had announced before I sought this term that I'm currently in now, that I would not be running again for a 7th term. So I'm now into what will be my final go-round in terms of the school board. And I just, as I come back here to Elkton, a lot of memories are flooding through my mind from those early days. I remember in a debate on this stage, one of the candidates in the first race, and there were 4 of us, said in frustration, "It's not fair to have to run against somebody named Breeden in Elkton." And he said, "I'm going to change my name to Shiflett." And I said, "Well, Dick, before you do that, you might want to know my mother was a Shiflett." So I thought about that as I was sitting here, but I also thought about the things that we've accomplished. Renovations to the Elkton Elementary, renovations to this building. I was told when I went on the board that Elkton Middle School would never have air conditioning. This was before you, Steve. That Elkton Middle School would never have air conditioning, nor would it have an auxiliary gym. And to that, I just said, hold my drink. And so we've added Peakview Elementary. We've added Cub Run Elementary. We've had an addition or a renovation at McGackey'sville. We've had, trying to think, we've had a renovation at Spotswood. And the thing that I was especially told when I came on is you can forget about there ever being a high school in the Elkton community again. And again, we said, hold my drink. And I'm very proud of the school that is there at East Rock today. and what it has done to revitalize this community and the support that this community gives to it. So that's not even to talk about the academic successes that we've had. There's been more capital improvements in District 5 over the last 24 years than any other district in the county. And that didn't happen by coincidence. It took a lot of hard work and a lot of community support. But let me just say that one of the things that I wanted to do as I begin this last tour was to sort of highlight some people who have been helpful to me and have been instrumental in helping me to do what I needed to do in this role. And when I come to Elkton, it's so hard to narrow that list down. You know, I think about, in terms of staff here, Donna Mowbray still here. Bonnie Munger was such a help to me when she was here, and Pat Shiflett, for those of you that remember Pat in the office, there were such a help. But I wanted to mention 3 administrators, one being Vic Deal. Vic was my principal at Montevideo Middle School and was a tremendous sounding board when he was at Elkton Elementary, when he went to Massanutten Tech, and right up until his death. Was a tremendous friend and confidant for me. Also, Dr. Ramona Pence, who was here. Ramona and I our families have known one another for decades. And what support she has been and continues to be to me, not only from a school board side, but spiritually, has been a real asset to me. And lastly, I wanted to mention Joe Dudash. I can remember a very early student discipline case that actually occurred at Montevideo in one of the off rooms of the library. And we were hearing a case about a young girl whose mother was deaf and mute, and she had brought the little girl had brought prescription medicine to school, and at that time you were up for expulsion. And as we sat there and we heard the facts of that case, it came out that this little girl and her mother were living in a tent at Swift Run Campground up here, and it was wintertime, a cold night much like tonight. And as that little girl was talking, Joe was sitting in the back of the room, and I could see tears streaming down his face. And I thought, I don't know this guy, but I can work with him because he has kids at heart. And it shows from what we see here tonight. So Vic, wherever you are, Ramona, we'll see you soon. And Joe, I hope to see you soon. Thank you all for the tremendous influence that you've been in my life and for the assistance that you've given me. And I apologize for taking so long, Madam Chair.
That's fine. Thank you, Mr. Breeden. Now we're going to go to Dr. McQuilkin.
Thank you. I'd like to begin this evening to thank Emily Holloway and Michelle Campbell and Crystal Muterspaw for hosting us this evening. We really appreciate the time and effort that you put into making this a wonderful evening, and we loved your presentation. Thank you. The highlights for me for this time period from the last school board meeting to this school board meeting include the job fair, which was held on January the 14th on a Saturday. And thanks to all those who came to be the interviewers, and we thank those who were the interviewees. It was a wonderful job fair, and kudos to our personnel staff. We thank you very much, and thank everybody who participated. In case the students or anybody hasn't heard, this past week has been Virginia School Principal Appreciation Week. And we would like to say a big thank you to all of our principals, assistant principals, and I believe Ms. Lohr sent out an e-card to everybody. And we also, I believe you all got some popcorn, so I hope you're enjoying it. Musicals, there's going to be an announcement with the musicals. I think that's on the agenda tonight. And for those of you who wish, you can go to the website, go to school board, go to this meeting, and I believe there will be a listing of all the musicals. And for the first time, in addition to the 4 high schools and the 4 middle schools, we have an elementary school that's going to do a musical. So please check out those musicals. And my last comment is how grateful I am to you, Mr. Breeden, for the volunteers that you did this evening and that we do every school board meeting, or at least every meeting that's in the school. But also, we welcome back the Inspire Awards. When the Inspire Awards were being read, I looked around the audience and everybody was smiling, and it was just a nice thing to see. We have wonderful teachers and staff people in Rockingham County Schools, and this is one way to say thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Great. Dr. Scheichel just said that I could go next to make sure that he doesn't take one of mine. I don't think you're going to, though, but I had some great highlights. Well, except this one. Definitely a highlight for me is being in this building and being with all of you all. Thank you to the staff and everyone who made it possible for us to be in a school. It's always wonderful to visit the schools. Another highlight, I had the ag Spanish fusion class come out to the farm for a tour and got to again learn how to say chicken in Spanish, and then again forget how to say chicken. Actually, it's pollo. I know that one. But I got to learn how to say lamb and then forgot how to say lamb in Spanish. But maybe after 10 or 15 years of them coming over, I'll know a little bit of Spanish. But the kids were amazing. It's always great to see students in a learning environment. Oh, and then one thing that absolutely warmed my heart. So my middle son took that class, and then he was home for Christmas break and was able to share experiences with the students. And it's always so wonderful to see kids apply their knowledge and to apply it to help others follow in their footsteps. So that was a great experience for me. And then I was able to also come to the spelling bee that was held here last week before last, recently, and to see the kids get up on this stage. I mean, I walked in the door, I'm like, oh good, we're not on the stage. It's always nice to be kind of down with on eye level with folks. It gets intimidating to get up on that stage, and to see 27 students get up on that stage and spell words that I can't spell, it was very impressive, and I'm just so impressed and at awe by the students of Rockingham County, and just want to congratulate every single student who participated in the spelling bee. They did an excellent job. So those were my highlights for the week, and I'm going to go to Dr. Scheichel.
Thank you, Ms. Lohr. First, thanks to Elkton Middle School for hosting us. It's always fun to be here. And also, again, extending our thanks to our principals and assistant principals and ADs that we recognized last week, and finally today had a chance to deliver some popcorn too. Larry, Doug, and I made our road trips today to visit the schools. And yeah, the teachers that were recognized earlier right there, again, these are all amazing teachers, and we'll have a chance again to recognize more of them. I said to Dr. McCook, and I've known Hope since she was about this tall when she played soccer, and then she also was a student at TA, and Pat, I've known him for a long, long time as well. So so many amazing people. Also an update, I don't think we've updated the community on this. So we've now completed the hiring of, or the Sheriff Hutchison has completed the hiring of the 4 SROs. We talked all last year, in terms of the process of finding state money. The sheriff applied for grant money that was ultimately available so that all 4 middle schools could have an SRO funded with state grant money rather than taxing the community for this. And so now we have Deputy Bruce Hornick, who's responsible for Elkton Middle, Elkton Elementary, and McGackisville. So welcome to the team. And so again, now that completes that process. And so again, thankful to the sheriff for making sure that the selection process, even if it takes longer, is one that brings us, deputies to the buildings that are working with kids to build relationships. And again, just look at the back of the room, right? One of our longest standing SROs who's just been here for a long, long time and does amazing work with our students, and we see it across the buildings. So thanks to all the SROs and thanks to Sheriff Hutchison as well. And then Robin Casey from TA won first place in the English-speaking union's Lexington branch competition today at the Blackfriars Playhouse in Stanton. He performed the monologue from Othello, and as a result, he won an all-expenses-paid trip to New York City to represent the Lexington branch at the national competition in April, and he will get to compete on stage at the Lincoln Center with the regional winners from across the United States. So in all of these areas, our students are doing incredibly well, and so that just happened, and I wanted to make sure that I highlighted that in my opening comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Scheichel. Yes, lots of amazing things happening in Rockingham County, and to hear about the student going to the Lincoln Center, that's pretty exciting. Very, very, very great highlights. Thank you all. Now we're going to move into our action items. These are items that we will need to take a vote on. And the first thing on our agenda is the approval of the minutes. Do I have, we just go straight to that, right? You don't recommend that, okay. Sorry, guys. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Yes, I move that we approve the minutes of the January 9th, 2023 meeting as presented.
Thank you, Dr. McQuilkin. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Breeden. Is there any discussion regarding the minutes?
Has nothing to do with the minutes, but since I've mentioned and it's been mentioned how long Deputy Dolphmeyer and I have been at this, we started when we were real young.
It is
Didn't we?
obvious.
Yeah,
yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So all those in favor of approval of the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Minutes are approved. Next on the agenda are field trips. Dr. Scheichel?
Board members, you have a number of field trips for your approval tonight. From Broadway High School, FFA Livestock Judging, February 24th and 25th. 16 students to Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. Youth in Government, March 9th, 2023. 40 students to the Greenbrier Resort in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. Indoor drumline competition, March 31st to April 2nd. 6 students to the Hampton Coliseum in Hampton. And FCCLA State Conference, April 13th through the 16th. 5 students to Virginia Beach. From East Rockingham High School, the indoor drumline competition, again, March 31 to April 2nd. 1 student to the Hampton Coliseum. And FFA Livestock Judging, February 24-25. 16 students to Virginia Tech. Turner Ashby High School, FCCLA State Competition, April 13th through the 17th. 9 students to Virginia Beach. And the TSA Technosphere Conference and Competition, May 4th through the 7th. 29 students to Hampton, Virginia. From J. Frank Hilliard Middle School, indoor drumline competition, March 31st to April 2nd. 1 student to the Hampton Coliseum. And also from Montevideo Middle School, 1 student to that same indoor drumline competition to Hampton. And I recommend approval of all those field trips.
Thank you, Dr. Scheichel. Do I hear a motion?
Move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation with regards to field trips.
Thank you, Mr. Breeden. Do you have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. McQuilkin. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is an update to the school board meeting schedule. Dr. Scheichel?
So there has been a desire by the board to switch the 2 February meetings. So originally, our first meeting of the month is always at the Rockingham County Administration Center. The second meeting was scheduled for J. Frank Hilliard, and those 2 in this revised schedule will be flipped. So the February 13 meeting would be at J. Frank, and the meeting on the 27th would be at the Rockingham County Admin Center. And I recommend approval of the revised schedule.
Great, thank you. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we approve the revised 2023 school board meeting schedule as presented.
Thank you, Dr. McQuilkin. Do I hear a second?
Yes, that's me. Yeah.
That's your cue.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Breeden. Is there any discussion? I would just like to thank J. Frank Hilliard for being willing to work with us on this. And also, how exciting is that? We have 2 meetings in a row with student character counts. So that's awesome. I'm excited to hear that. No further discussion. We'll vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Now we'll move on to the MOU amendment to the MTC farm lease.
So this is an amendment to the license agreement. You have this in your materials. Originally, the license and use agreement was dated August 15th, 2017, and that has expired. We want to make sure we extend that to June 30th of 2023. You may wonder why it's such a short extension. With the ag production program, there are going to be conversations with both there have been conversations at MTC already, and then with the Ag Production Advisory Group, whether there are any changes to how this program operates, and especially involving the farm that Mike and Susan Phillips have been so generous with to let our students work there. They are a tremendous resource for us. Every time I get to visit the farm, I could listen to them talk about their approach to agriculture forever. And so this particular amendment, again, extends that lease, extends the farm lease agreement to June 30th, and I recommend approval of the MOU amendment to the MTC farm lease as presented.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Scheichel. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation with regards to the MOU amendment to the MTC farm lease.
Thank you, Mr. Breeden. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. McQuilkin. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Does this require a roll call vote or just a regular vote? Just a regular vote? Very well. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Now we'll move on to policy revisions. We have Mrs. Marcy Williams.
Thank you. Good evening, Mrs. Lord, Dr. Scheichel, and school board members. This evening I have for your action 2 policies. One is DAA, which is the grant guidance for federal grants, and the second policy is JED. And before considering that policy, I wanted to bring to your attention that this was reviewed with the high school principals, and in your information, you received that we were going to strike the suspension of driving privileges and after-school detention, but after review with the principals, they requested that we leave that in the policy. There are times when that is beneficial and motivating to help students get to school regularly, and it also, the after-school detention is a piece that we use sometimes to get them caught up when we've got them back on the right path. So those are the 2 policies that I'm bringing for your action this evening.
And I do recommend approval of the proposed policy revisions as presented. I want to thank Marcy and Doug as well for working on these and working with our principals to get feedback after we brought them initially.
Yes, thank you all. Do I have a motion for the recommendation?
I move that we approve the proposed policy revisions for action as presented by Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Dr. McQuilkin. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Breeden. Is there any discussion? Other than to reiterate our thanks for working on this. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. We'll now move on to our information items. And I believe first we're going to have Cheryl Mast with our big, is this one mine? Our big book of budgets. No, that one's Dr. Scheichel's, this one's mine.
Members of the board, Chair Lauren, Dr. Scheichel, good evening. This evening I have for you a complete accounting of all of the budget requests I've received for fiscal year 23-24. All of this information is compiled for you in the notebook you have at your seat. I will not go into detail this evening of each section. However, I will explain what is in the notebook so that when you have time, you're able to review it in detail. As always, we will be working together over the next few months to pare down the expenditures as we move towards a balanced budget by the end of March. The first tab I'll direct you to is the one entitled Expenditures. I also have this sheet up for the audience to be able to see. The first item on that sheet is transportation. Has an increase of about $72,000, and that's related to fuels and supplies. And you have a tab called transportation that you can look at in detail. The next item is maintenance, and they are asking for an increase of close to $800,000. They have a tab for detail there, and they also, it's mainly utilities and some project increases. Steve Reed, the Director of Maintenance, also outlined his increases in a memo there that you can read. The next two items are an instructional and academic reading adoption for our K-12 and our regional SPED program increases. We'll talk about some other salary adjustments, and their budget at this point does not have those salary adjustments. So that would need to be adjusted if those items were to be in the budget that is passed by the board. And then we had a small increase in personnel administration from the personnel department related to some software. The next couple items that we have increases in this year is we have a 5% raise, and that's as proposed in the governor's budget that came out in December, and that for Rockingham is $5.5 million. We also have an increase in our health insurance of approximately a 15% increase, and we've experienced a higher usage this year than we have in the past. So we are trying to evaluate that currently. Coming off of COVID for 2 years, the insurance usage was down. And so now this year it is way up. So we're trying to figure out if this is a one-year exception, kind of coming off of 2 low years, or if this is kind of a new base to start. So I came in a little bit high on that. I hope that it'll be able to come down, but again, if it's projected at 15 at this point. And the last few items you'll see on this expenditure sheet, the first section that these funds are available to us for use, and we will be using all of those funds by June of 2020. Improvement of certain salary scales, and that includes the teacher assistant scale, the behavior support assistant scale, mechanic scale, bus driver scale, teacher scale, and administrator scale. There is backup documentation explaining each one of those for your review. We also have an increase proposal for substitute pay for teachers and for substitute administrators. We have an increase in our hourly sub rates that are currently at $12, going to $13 per hour. And we also have a proposal in there for a card access system. And basically that is where your badge would kind of be your key and you would swipe to come in the building. There is a proposal there for that. And then lastly, we have the personnel requests that we receive from all administrators. And again, there's a tab outlining each one of those as what the request was and the reason for them. And so as you can see, we have a request of almost $17 million, which is typical for us because we like to show the board every request we get. We know that there's not $17 million of new revenue coming between the state and the locality. And so over the next few months, we'll work with you to narrow down these priorities to what you would like to see for the division. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have right now, but I also know that you haven't had much of a chance to review this, and we'll be able to talk later. But if you have questions now, I'd be glad to answer any.
Do you have any questions?
I know with our company insurance, it started out at 17% and we were able to get it to 15.
Okay.
Now, this is a much bigger pool, but
Right, yeah.
It's a tough market out there.
Yeah, it is. And as being, we are self-insured, and when you're self-insured, you expect every so often to have what we call a bad year, where we've
Right.
had high usage, and we're trying to figure out, could we be experiencing the bad year this year, or is it kind of just where rates are now and costs, and we need to increase them?
Yeah.
So.
Are you finding that some of our suppliers are having difficulty getting the stuff they need? Yeah.
Kind of get an idea of what we want to see moving forward, and we'll hash through it in the next couple of months. But this has been a mammoth undertaking, as it is every year, and I appreciate all of your work on it. And everyone, while you do the lion's share of the work, a lot of people have gone into, have
Absolutely,
put
a lot of
information
people.
into this, and it's one of the most important things we do. So thank you to everyone who's put a lot of work into this. Thank you. We're now going to move on to, yay, musical performances. Ms. Becky Ford is going to tell us what's coming up.
Good evening, Chair Lohr, Dr. Scheichel, Dr. McQuilkin, and Mr. Breeden. Thank you for having me today. Tonight, I am so excited to share with you guys the lineup of musical theater shows for Rockingham County. This year has a host of traditional shows, such as Beauty and the Beast, Cinderella, Footloose, Mamma Mia, Grease, and more. These shows actually begin 6 to 9 months prior to the actual performances. It begins with deliberation of show choice, casting, and set design, followed by at least 3 months of rehearsals every single day and most Saturdays as well. The students, staff, and volunteers give countless hours of their life to put together a product that can only be accomplished by the collaboration of all of them. Musical theater provides our students real-world experiences, researching historical and period costuming, set design, construction, presentation and public speaking, as well as the extremely vital skills of working collaboratively with others. I hope that you'll make time in your schedules that are very
Great lineup. We're looking forward to it. Thank you so much, and please tell everyone working on it, thank you so much. I, for one, am super excited for musical season, and everybody in the room, this is the place to be, May 4th through the 7th, to watch High School Musical Junior. That'll be a fun time. Thank you very much. Board members, you have information in your packet about the VSBA Hot Topic Conference in March. So now we'll move on to other business. School board questions. Mr. Breeden, would you like to start?
I have none.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. McQuilkin? Awesome. So that leaves me. I have a question. Dr. Scheichel, can you please clarify the direction that you've given folks for the JMU and Forbes Center performances, please?
Sure. So as I showed at the last board meeting, there are really three components to what we've asked moving forward with our performances at the Forbes Center. One is, again, because the numbers of third graders really were so close to capacity at the Forbes Center, that was one of the reasons why for that trip the decision had been made that there would be no chaperones, only the teachers. But as there's always a number of students who aren't going, and we can get the permission slips maybe a little bit earlier, as we know how many students are going, then remaining spaces certainly should be open to family chaperones. So that's definitely going to be one step. The other one has to do with how much information we ask for ahead of time. So for example, the acknowledgement statement. What I said last time was, it's appropriate once students have learned the historical background. Of course, decision would be to simply draw the line at middle and high school, so that when elementary students, like the February field trip or the March trip to the Forbes Center happen, that we ask that the land acknowledgement statement not be part of it, since students haven't been exposed to that historical content. Certainly by middle and high school they have been, and so we'll work with JMU with the acknowledgement statement. And again, this was a specific statement from the College for Visual and Performing Arts, so not the other statement that the Forbes Center used to do, that is appropriate once students reach middle and high school, and certainly there can be, again, information presented ahead of time that families also have access to both the historical background and what actually is read and why it's read at the Forbes Center. So I will work with JMU on that part. So chaperones permitted as is possible, so there may be some limit, but at least we can fill the available slots. More information for our families and administrators and teachers, and then the land acknowledgement statement will be available if the Forbes Center decides to read it. It's not our decision, but only for middle and high school students once that content has been covered in class. So those are the three elements.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Scheichel. And can you please remind me of the name, if you know it off the top of your head, of the community member who brought this to us?
Yeah,
If you're a student, I can see some of you go, there you go. It's so good to have you guys here. I hope you've learned a lot tonight. You picked a good one to come to. It's been a pretty quick one. And do we have any further questions? No? Okay, we have reason to move into closed session. Do I hear a motion?
I move that the board enter a closed meeting to discuss and consider the following pursuant to the provisions of Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1, personnel, specific public officers, appointees, or employees for the purpose of considering such individuals' assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation, and A2, one or more particular students specifically related to discipline and requests regarding compulsory school attendance based on religious beliefs, that would involve disclosure of information contained in a scholastic record concerning a student.
Thank you, Mr. Breeden. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. McQuilkin. Is there any discussion? Before we vote, I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming out tonight. Please have safe travels home and have a wonderful week. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are now in closed session. Thank you all.